So let's explain now why Kyle is in Vegas as we also bring in Pierre McGuire. Kyle was in attendance for Mitch Marner's first ever game against his former team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kyle, how was it? It was a game won by the Knights.
It was a game that should have been won by the Toronto Maple Leafs, but was absolutely won by the Golden Knights. And, you know, it was a confounding experience because I'm sure most games here in Las Vegas, especially amongst some original six teams, you get a lot of tourist traffic, people making a weekend out of it and joining. But that was the first time I've ever heard a hockey player be booed on his own home ice that loud every single time he touched the puck. A week from now when they're in Toronto, it is going to be fascinating.
Pierre, your take on that game.
Jack Eichel was really good. Mitchell Marner was very good. I thought the Leafs for most of the game were really good. The biggest issue I thought, Dan and Kyle, though, for me was how easy Vegas was able to come from behind three different times when Toronto had 2-goal leads. And that's a little bit disconcerting. Now, the one caveat to all of it is William Nylander getting hurt a little under 3 minutes into the game. He had a goal and an assist, and then he disappeared from the game. And that caused some problems. And I just want to say, I'm sure we'll get to it, but there's more to that overtime winning goal than what people are talking about. And everybody's hanging Austin Matthews out to dry. So when it comes to us talking about that actual goal, I'd like to talk a little bit more about it just to give people a different perspective on it.
Okay. What would you like to discuss?
Well, go right into it, Pierre.
Well, I'm going to just say this right now. They were playing an aggressive 3-on-3 situation, and Morgan Riley jumps in, and Morgan Riley misses a net high and wide. And when you're a defenseman in a 3-on-3 situation and you miss high and wide and everybody's committed to going to the net, that's going to lead to a breakout the other way, and it did. It led to a 2-on-1 going the other way. Well, Austin Matthews had already been stuck and pinned to the boards behind the goal, behind Aiden Hill. And so while everybody's yelling and screaming, look at Austin Matthews, look at Austin Matthews, no forward for the Leafs played more minutes than Austin Matthews. He played 23-35 in that game. And a big part of that was because of Nylander's injury. And another part of it is he got beat up the ice because the guy that was sticking and pinning him was Jack Eichel. So Jack Eichel comes up the ice based on a breakout that was created by Morgan Riley. And nobody is saying anything about Morgan Riley, including the people doing the game on national TV in the United States. And I'm going, whoa, wait a second. Like he's culpable on this too. It's not just Austin Matthews. And I have no skin in the game, but I want to say what's legitimately out there. You know, everybody's ripping Austin. There are other guys that were at fault in this one too. It just wasn't Austin.
Pierre, is there anything that pisses a coach off more when a defenseman misses high and wide?
Especially in that situation, high and wide, especially long side, that's a problem. You know, I remember Scotty Bowman. That was one of his big rules when we would talk to our defensemen, whether it was Larry Murphy or Paul Coffey or Ulfie Samuelson, really good players. That was one of his cardinal rules. Don't miss long side high, because if you do, it's going to be an odd man rush going the other way.
And to your point, Pierre, being in the actual arena, not a single person messaged or mentioned Austin Matthews on that play. He had been on the ice for almost the entire 3-on-3 overtime with only a brief break, and he was pinned against the end boards. And the first and only reaction fans had when the Leafs were in that end was, you got to hit the net. And that's a response to that shot that went high and wide, which you simply cannot do to your forwards in a 3-on-3 overtime situation with that much open ice.
Yeah, I'm glad you heard that. I'm glad you felt that in the rink, because I'm watching that from about 2,200 miles away, and I'm going, whoa, they're hanging this guy out to dry, and it's not fair. It's not right.
Kyle, how was the in-arena experience?
I can't hear you, Dan, because I'm still deaf, but it is about as Las Vegas as it could possibly get. And, you know, if you're bringing kids to a game, you're on the road, it is definitely something to see, without a doubt. They do a fantastic job of entertaining. They do a fantastic job of putting on a show for the fans. And, you know, they have this video series of like all these knights fighting in the desert and stuff. And in this one, when the mask came off, it was Mitchell Marner. And Todd, I was at the game last night, in case you guys don't know, with Foot Locker Liberace himself, Todd Furman. And he said they don't normally do this. And that's the first time they've had Marner on the screen for that. So that was obviously by design. You could sense in the atmosphere there was more to this game than others, and the shows and the crowd. It was electric all night. And you listen, that many goals on the board, I hit my over, I'm happy.
How is the experience with Todd?
Todd's the same as he is on the show. He's a fantastic guy. He's a fantastic talker. He knows the game really well, and we're talking about the game at that level. And the best part is he's got the same seats in every game. So he's the most famous person in that section. He's glad handing this guy, kissing this guy's mother on the cheek. You swear he's the president of the Knights, but he's not. He's just the president of my heart. I met him last night. He's a wonderful guy.
I love it. Pierre McGuire, any Olympic updates? How's our rink situation? Because right now, if you've been on social media and anything from the Olympics has entered your feed, it's people making fun of the Olympic scoreboard at the arena.
Yeah, the scoreboard's not very proactive, number one. Number two, the ice isn't very good at this point. Number three, the dressing rooms and the workout rooms and the pre-rooms for the players, not very good. They'll deal with it. They've dealt with worse, I'm sure, when they're growing up, but they didn't expect that at the Olympics. And the other thing, all the amenities around the arena, far from being complete. So it's going to be more of a bare bones thing. The games will go on. People will get on the ice. I just hope the ice surface can get better as we get closer and closer to the games.
Will we ever find out how the hell this happened?
No, because they're bureaucrats and they're going to run for cover and they're going to do CYA, cover your arse, if you know what I mean. And so that's what happens. And I said this before on the record. I'll say it again. Somebody from the NHL needs to be held accountable. Somebody from the IOC needs to be held accountable. Somebody from the IIHF needs to be held accountable. And somebody from the organizing committee needs to be held accountable. And I don't think they're going to do that. And that's unfortunate because this can never happen again. You go into 2030 and you go into 2034, that can never happen again.
Pierre, it's one thing to have, it seems like this happens in every Olympics, and it's one thing to have infrastructure problems around and the venues for the entertainment of the fans aren't up and whatnot. But in this particular instance, I don't recall ever seeing the track and field surface not ready to go. I don't recall the pole vaulter poles not arriving on time. How likely is it that this will be a problem once this... Is there enough time to fix this? I don't know anything about resurfacing ice, but do they have the manpower and the ability to correct this in time?
100% they do, and I believe they will. I do believe, Kyle and Dan, the ice will be better. But this is one thing to think about, and I know I've shared this with you before, and it's really important. In 2010, when the Olympics were in Vancouver, and Dan, you and I were working together, they took $150 million. The organizing committee and the IOC took $150 million out of that rink. That was their money. The NHL never got any. So they go to 2014 and the NHL said, hey, this was the number in Vancouver. What do you think it'll be in Sochi? Well, it's not going to be as great, but we would like to have some of that, especially to defer some of our costs. Well, they wouldn't give them tickets. They wouldn't give them boxes, and they wouldn't give them a share of the revenue, and they're using their players. So the NHL said, no, it stops. Boom, we're not going. So they didn't go to 2018. They didn't go to 2022. And now, thank goodness, we're going to 2026. But they better fix the ice because this has a chance to be one of the best Olympic games ever in terms of talent on the ice. Think about all the first-timers that are going, you know, for Canada. Think about the first-timers going for the States, the first-timers going for Sweden, the first-timers going for Finland. This has a chance to be an amazing tournament. It really does. They better not foul it up by having bad ice. They can fix the ice.
Pierre, just wanted to get your thoughts on this before we wrap up. And Kyle mentioned the work stoppage that seems to be headed right down the tracks towards Major League Baseball. And I want to ask you this because hockey faced the same situation where the salaries got too high and everyone sits in a room and said, how did it get like this when the people that caused it are the owners? So if you were to give any advice to the players in baseball, to the owners on how to fix this situation, what would it be that the NHL could have used the same words when they had a work stoppage?
It's a great question. So I will tell you this from having negotiated a lot of big dollar contracts over the course of my career. Earlier, not nearly as big as later in my career. The players need to know that the agents work for them, that they don't work for the agent. The agents have dominated these collective bargaining agreements. The agents are large and in charge. They have all kinds of power. And I think at some point, the TV money will not get greater. I think at some point, there's only so much you can charge a family to go to a game, especially baseball, where there's so many games. And I think at some point, the concession price of paying $15 for a beer is going to go away. And then what's going to happen? So I think everybody's got to get some common sense in this. we're spending money. I guess it's a line from Top Gun. We're writing checks that our bodies can't cash, and we got to start to realize that. But I think and I respect collective bargaining, and I respect what the agents do for their clients, but the clients need to understand that the agents work for them and not the other way around.
Do you see we ever enter a world in which teams look at, I believe it's the Phoenix Suns and their owner, the concession prices are like from the 1980s, where he's like, I want families to come here and have a good time and be able to buy popcorn, buy drinks, and not have to mortgage their house? Or is it an industry where, no, well, we aren't going to make money if we do that?
Well, it depends what organization, because a ticket price in Toronto is not the same as a ticket price in Tampa. A ticket price in Detroit's not the same as a ticket price in Nashville. And that's part of the problem with hockey. And we also have this great thing called currency, Canadian currency versus US currency right now. It's a big problem, especially for the 7 Canadian-based teams. So I don't know. Like, I think Jeff Molson tries to keep his price points down in Montreal. I really do. I don't know what the numbers are in Toronto. I don't know what the numbers have to be in Winnipeg. I do know what the numbers have to be in Ottawa because I was part of it, so I understand. But I can just say that, you've got a lot of owners in this league too that are concessionaires. I'll use Delaware North in Boston. They're out of Buffalo, but they own the Boston Bruins. They own the concessions for a lot of teams in the league. Same thing with Spectacor Group in Philadelphia. That's a Philadelphia Flyers. So it's an amazingly difficult thing to answer, Dan. I wish I could give you a better answer, but I really respect what's gone on in Arizona on the basketball side of things. I really do.
Gentlemen, before we play our favorite game to close the show, which we absolutely must do, I have a hypothetical for both of you based off my experience at T-Mobile last night.
Okay.
Before the game, during the game, during a commercial break, Nicholas Waugh was honored with a video tribute on the scoreboard. This was his return to Las Vegas. Do either of you believe that Mitch Marner will receive the same treatment in Toronto? And if so, how will that go? Pierre, the floor is yours.
I do think the Leafs are a class organization. I think they will do a video tribute to Mitchell Marner. I don't know how the fans will respond to it. I think the fans, some might cheer and some might boo. That's part of what you have to deal with when you do those things. That being said, the Leafs are a first-class organization. I do expect that they will do a really nice video tribute to Mitch.
I know exactly what will happen. Mitch Marner will tear up during the video tribute. It will start with a smattering of applause, a few boos, and the boos will be drowned out by the applause of Leafs fans.
Love it.
I tend to agree.
I love that. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But then they will boo him. They will boo him every time he touches the puck, because I think the sports fan is sophisticated enough to understand the difference between, hey, he did this stuff for us, but screw this guy now. He's not on our team anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why sports is great.
Before we go any further though, Dan, I know you want to pick a card. Think about Johnny Tavares, and you guys both know him. John Tavares is as nice a man as you'll ever meet. He's an amazing son. He's an amazing uncle. He's an awesome husband. He's a great father. He's an amazing social citizen. Every time he goes to Long Island, he gets pulverized. You couldn't meet a nicer guy. Like every one of those fans, if you had a daughter, you'd want John Tavares to marry your daughter. That's how good a guy he is. But he gets pulverized every single time he goes to New York.
He sure does.
Unbelievable.
Okay, let's play 1 degree Pierre McGuire. I turn around, point to a card, and Pierre tells us his connection to that player. I don't think I've ever gone middle right. Mick Vakota.
Oh, boy. As tough as there was, I was doing radio in Montreal when Mick came up to the Montreal Canadiens. He had these gigantic, gnarly hands, a little bit like Kyle's as he picked it and put them up to his nose. Unbelievable. Mick was a Westerner, tough. I was coaching in Pittsburgh when he was playing, just breaking in with the Islanders. I had so much respect for him. He fought from the hip. He didn't throw from up here. He threw from the hip, and he threw hard. Tough as nails, good person, and always enjoyed my time with him on the road when he was part of the Montreal Canadiens. Really good person.
We appreciate you, Pierre. We got to get Kyle to the craps table. He's got a sitting. Actually, you stand at the craps table, so he's got to stand here in 5 minutes at the Bellagio.